Good morning, my dear friends. My name is Sarita. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back. Let's talk about January. I was just about to say December. Let's talk about January. I've got a tub of candles here that I burned in January, and I need to review them for you all. And I haven't even reviewed them for myself yet. So this is going to be kind of serendipitous the way that I pull these out of the tub. It was an okay month for me. I've had better January burning experiences. I'm not gonna lie to you. January is one of my favorite months to burn candles. And it's kind of like the white birch, birchwood vanilla kind of vibes, you know, with some trees sprinkled in there, some cool trees, not Christmas trees, if you know what I mean. Yeah, I really usually love January, and I just wasn't feeling it this year. And I think it honestly has to do with the fact that so many of these candles were just not great. They just weren't. So I'm kind of unhappy about that, but let's see what we were burning. It was a lot of Homeworx. So really, frankly, I need to blame Homeworx primarily for the lackluster experience this month. Last in, first out, I had these two Homeworx candles from Marshalls or TJ Maxx. Citrus and Spruce and Palo Santo Spruce, which I keep calling Palo Santo and Spruce, but it's actually just Palo Santo Spruce. So these were mixed up in the factory. So this one, the one that says Citrus and Spruce was actually Palo Santo. The one that says Palo Santo was actually Citrus. In terms of Citrus and Spruce, I would under no circumstances buy this candle again. It's one of those candles that I've smelled before in the store or at Marshalls or wherever else, and always thought to myself, you expect lifting the lid off a candle called Citrus and Spruce with this amazing label of these juicy mandarins and fragrant orange leaves and stems with a spruce, that it's just going to be a really fragrant candle, and it should be. Generally, coniferous trees and citrus come across really well, really brightly, yeah? This candle is just like half strength. It's a poor excuse of a candle. It's vaguely fruity, it's vaguely tree-like, but it's like it just decided not to wake up that morning or something, you know? So I've never been impressed with it, but I ended up bringing it home because it was poured into this jar, Palo Santo Spruce, which I was going to bring home no matter what, because I really wanted to experience it. Once I got home, I realized it was Citrus and Spruce. No, now that I've burned it, I 100% would not repurchase it again, because guess what? How it smells is how it burns. An incredibly anemic, poor excuse of a candle. It's as simple as that. And it's all the more unfortunate given how appropriate the concept is and how lovely the label. So I'm low-key offended by this fragrance, and I do not recommend it. And I apologize if it's your favorite fragrance. But I just can think of a million different ways that this candle could and should smell that would be, frankly, doing better justice to the concept in the label than whatever it is going into this candle. And I see it frequently, so it comes back quite a lot. Somebody's buying it. Sure is not gonna be me going forward. So that's Citrus and Spruce. Then Palo Santo Spruce. Now this is a fairly recent candle for them. I liked it. I thought it was fine. It's smoky, it's woody, it's a little bit vetiver, it's a little bit leathery, etc. I usually say this, but I'll say it again. If it had come out 20 years ago, it would have been like a revelation. But now most candle companies have some version of this, so it's good. It's good, but it wasn't great and it didn't perform well. The strength and throw out is very low. I mean, like under 5 in almost every area that it was put. So no, unless the performance changes on it dramatically, I really can't recommend it. Would I maybe try it again? Possibly, because it's in my wheelhouse. I like the smoky, I like the woody, and it is a very nice, like, warm wood. It doesn't smell particularly Palo Santo-like any more than like a cedar would, for instance. It's just kind of like a nice warm wood. And I think it has amber in it. Yes, spiced amber. So amber with any kind of wood is gonna give it kind of a warmth. I don't think, unlike the Bath & Body Works Palo Santo note, I don't think that this is necessarily a very unique Palo Santo note. It doesn't distinguish itself from a whole range of other kinds of woods. So it was just kind of a very good, warm, smoky, vetiver-like kind of fragrance that underperformed. I actually wasn't getting a whole lot of spruce in it. I mean, there's kind of a nuance, like there might be some spruce branches that were thrown into that bonfire, but it's not a very strong spruce note. That might have made a difference. That might have made it a little bit more unusual or a little bit more unpredictable, given, like I said, the offerings of a lot of candle companies over the last 20 years or so. So that's Palo Santo and spruce. Not the end of Homeworx. I had this one, Balsam White Birch, in this beautiful January blue. Yes. Oh, stunning, stunning. I like the smell of it. It's a very generic Harry Slatkin tree conceptual. That to say, it is above average as a tree conceptual. So don't get it twisted. When I say generic, I just mean that like he has 37 of these. And at a certain point, it's like, how does this distinguish itself from like 12 other candles that smell exactly the same way? And you've given other names too, if that makes sense. By and large, most of his tree conceptuals are above average as tree conceptuals, but I think that he's really watered down and undermined what should be a very strong contribution from his company by just duplicating it a million times over and kind of cheapening the vibe, the experience. So if you're not familiar with that generic Harry Slatkin tree conceptual, it's a tree with a little bit of ozone, with definitely a fruity finish, sometimes and often a citrusy fruity finish. And then it has a little bit of like musk in it, you know, to make it more of a obvious conceptual as opposed to an outdoor or botanical experience. And all of those elements are present here. Sometimes a little bit of a mint or a eucalyptus or something like that to give a little bit of a nippiness. Less so here. Maybe there is eucalyptus in here though. It leans a little masculine, so there is a little bit of coolness in the musk here. The thing for me is that this actually, I thought that Treetops Glisten, which is a fairly new inclusion into his like harem of tree conceptuals. Treetops Glisten is actually very similar to this one, but it's better. It's better and it performs better. This one came in at like a 5 in the back bedroom. So Treetops Glisten just way outperformed it and had a fullness, a richness, and a warmth to it. Treetops Glisten is basically a combination of many of the best of those tree conceptuals. And I've said it a million times, I do think that probably at least 12 or 13 should be retired now that we've got Treetops Glisten. So there you go. That was Balsam White Birch. I believe not to be confused by actual white birch, which is a different candle in his tree conceptual rotation. You can't even keep track of them. That's the other thing. You can't remember. You can't distinguish. And even if you had them in front of you, it would be hard to distinguish between them. Ugh. I don't love it. I don't love it. This one is another lovely green, lovely glass. This one is Mistletoe Magic. This one did distinguish itself a little bit. It smells different than a whole range. I mean, it's still within his range of tree conceptuals, but it is a little bit more unique than like this one, for instance, the Balsam White Birch. This one is allegedly blackcurrant, pine needles, fir balsam, and pomelo. So you can tell he's got the fruity again, and he's got the balsam and the pine. So on paper, it fits into the generic Harry Slatkin kind of profile. That said, smelling it, it does smell, you know, at least distinguishably different from many of his other tree conceptuals. This one has a much stronger berry note component as opposed to just a citrus one. And he does have pomelo in here. So it's giving, again, that very familiar citrus finish balsam. But then there's this kind of deep berry note to it as well. And I'm not loving the berry note. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm just not. The whole candle goes a bit too fruity for me and overwhelms the pine and the balsam. And I just didn't like it when it was burned. I just didn't. I would not purchase it again, but I suspect that there's a lot of people that like it. I do know that Mistletoe Magic is one of his more famous ones in terms of the tree conceptuals. The one that's, it's been out for a while and it comes back quite a bit, which makes me think that it does have a good audience. Josh from Touch the Fire twice did say that, I think, unless I misheard, that there was an old Slatkin candle from Bath & Body Works called, I believe, Holiday Garland, and that this is essentially a dupe of Holiday Garland from Bath & Body Works that we haven't seen from Bath & Body Works in years and years. And he loves the Holiday Garland. I actually put it on I have a list somewhere of old OG Harry Slatkin candles from Bath & Body Works that if I find in Facebook Marketplace or something, I really want to pick up and experience. So I put Holiday Garland on there at his recommendation, and frankly, I just took it off because if it is indeed Mistletoe Magic, I don't need to burn that again. I really don't. That said, the performance on it was better, you know, I mean, it was decent. I want to say that it was in the 6 range or 6.5, even in the open concept, which is probably not great, all things being equal, but in the curve that has now been drawn for candles in the last 2 decades, and especially for Harry Slatkin, 6.5 in the open concept is actually quite decent, especially in a 3-wick. So, and given that it's a long-standing candle, I wouldn't be surprised if its performance has always been a bit higher than the average, or at least the average that we've come to expect in the recent years. And then I have 2 more Homeworx candles. Let's leave the best ones for last. There was this one too, another tree conceptual. Maybe this is why I hated this January. I told you guys I was in my Homeworx era, and I am, because like I have been buying a lot from TJ Maxx and Marshalls over the last few years. And I was never like a huge Harry Slatkin person originally. So many of these that have been around the pike several times, I'm experiencing for the first time. So this is my moment to be like, oh, what's this? Oh, what's this? Let's winnow it down. Which ones are actually good, you know? And I think I may have just pushed it a little too far, buying too many of these tree conceptuals all in one season, and now I'm like exhausted and kind of disgusted with all of them. I should have paced myself. I should have done a few. But part of it was that as I was smelling them, I could tell they were fairly similar, and I wanted to be able to compare and contrast. And it's harder and harder to do that the longer that you remember them. And given how close these all are, I mean, if I burn one of these and then tried to come back 2 years later and be like, I think this one was like first snow, I wouldn't even remember what first snow was like. I mean, they're just so similar. So they kind of all had to be burned around the same time to get a good read on which ones actually kind of stood out. But it just made for an exhausting month. I'm not gonna lie. And I'm sick of it. And I have 2 other, I've got one I'm staring down at. What is this one? White Snow Tip Pine. I've got Snow Tip Pine. Actually, I think that one has a pretty good audience. I've got Snow Tip Pine here, and I think I've got some other goofy one in the back. And every time I pass by it, I'm like, I know I should be burning that in January. And I just cannot bring myself to do this. They all smell gross to me now. And I'm sorry that happened. All right, first frost right here. This is the one with the eucalyptus, I think. Ugh. Yeah. Okay. This is cedar, Douglas fir, white moss, sparkling citrus, and chilled eucalyptus. So you've got the fir and you've got the citrus and you've got the cedar. Once again, it's a tree conceptual from Harry Slatkin. This one does distinguish itself though in that it has an enormous amount of eucalyptus and quite a bit of musk. This is a very cool candle and it's cologne-y. So this is a much more cologne, you might even say it's more of a cologne conceptual than a tree conceptual. So it was different on that level. Didn't perform all that great. In the back bedroom, I think I got it up to about a 5, maybe, after burning it for hours and hours. And I usually do like masculine leaning candles. I just didn't think this one was remarkable. I thought it was, yeah. And it could be like, if this had come out like 25 years ago, maybe I would be saying it was brilliant. But the way that men's colognes and men's personal fragrances have been going in the last 10 or 15 years, like, this is just kind of expected. It's a little bit predictable. You know, it's a tree with like masculine overtones and musk and amber. Okay, fine, you know? But like, what men's conceptuals at this point, personal fragrances that you can even pick up at Target, do not have a tree component to them? You know what I mean? Like, no, I wouldn't buy it again. That's First Frost. The pièce de résistance. Okay, so here's my resolution this year. And I know it's become very popular to have the videos about like, oh, I need to become more like, more thoughtful and more responsible about my candle purchases. And, you know, I need to like declutter and I'm only gonna burn what I have. And like, I'm sorry, this is just never gonna be the channel for that. I mean, I won't say never say never, right? You know? No, my resolution is not to buy less candles this year. Although, I think, I don't know for sure, but I do think I may be making a move, not just to a new house, but possibly to another state later this year. And so I hate moving, and I have so many things. And so there is part of me that's like, oh, be thoughtful. Like, do you absolutely need that candle? Like, maybe try to burn some of these candles down so you don't have to like move them all. My movers hated me last time, and it wasn't even candles then. It was just the books. It was the books. I can't even show you the camera. I mean, if the amount of books that I have in my house is unreal. Like, I could have a library. I could loan them out. I mean, it's an enormous amount of books. And yeah, it was mostly books. And you know how difficult it is to move books. Like, you can't put them in big boxes. You got to put them in little boxes because you break your back. You will not be able to lift them. Like, it was insane. It was insane how many books I moved. And my movers hated me. And I had less candles because I hadn't started this channel. And now I have more candles. And like, I just can't. I can't have the movers hate. I'm gonna have to, I will literally have to pay a small fortune to move my house. A small fortune. Because with the books and the candles, like, anyway, so close parentheses. If anyone on the reviewing candles, you know, track right now needs to be watching the candle purchases, I certainly do. And I'm gonna try to, but only just because I'm moving and I don't want to embarrass myself, right? But I'll tell you what my resolution is for this year with candles is, this is my being thoughtful about candle purchases. I am repurchasing candles this year. And I am repurchasing candles that I know that I love and that bring me joy. And I'm burning them. And it's harder to do when you've got a channel because you do feel the pressure to be like burning new candles. Like, when there's a new candle coming down the pike, like, you need to buy it. You need to tell the people if it's good, tell the people if it's bad. And sometimes you just don't have the bandwidth, either money-wise or frankly, time-wise, to reburn candles that otherwise you would have rebought and reburned, you know? And I do think that this exhaustion with Homeworx and the 37 tree conceptuals has made me even more like, burn something that you want to burn. I just feel like for weeks now, I've just been burning stuff that's like, ugh, ugh, I have to light another candle, you know? And it's just like the joy is gone from it. I want to burn pink lavender and espresso from Bath and Body Works. That's just what I want to burn right now, you know? And I should be. If that means less reviews on the channel, it means less reviews. My intention this year is to at least sprinkle throughout generously candles that I have already burned before, and I just need personally so that I can build my energy back up to review the mediocre new candles that come out. Yes, it's like karma or like a bank account. Like you have to kind of build it up and then you can drain some away with the mediocre candles, you know? But if it's just a constant drain of mediocre candles, you just start to lose your candle passion. And I don't want that to happen. So this is as much for you, my dear viewers, as for me. This was my reburn this month and it made me so joyful. So as you can see, look how beautiful it is. This is Tiare Sunrise from Homeworx. And I know I've been bad-mouthing Homeworx for the last 20 minutes, but let me tell you something. This has to be in one of my top candles of all time. It's at least in my top 10, if not in my top 5. Tiare Sunrise is tiare flower, honeysuckle, jasmine, vanilla, and gardenia. It's a gorgeous, tropical, light, fruity kind of fragrance, and I love it with all of my heart. Ooh, it has the tiare, like the frangipani plumeria kind of pop that is not unlike the plumeria note that you smell in Plumeria from Bath and Body Works, which is kind of an OG 90s body care fragrance, but it's so elevated in this candle, so elevated. But friends, if you're familiar with the 90s Bath and Body Works, it's like the most elevated version of Sweet Pea and Plumeria put together. And just a little less sweet, a little bit more authentic. It is gorgeous. And it was exactly the palette cleanser that I kind of needed from all of those trees, you know, that were all the same and had all the musk in it, you know? Man, I mean, Harry Slatkin does a lot of things well, but man, his like florals with the fruity finish, he nails it. And his tropicals, gosh, so great. Tiare Sunrise has always been like an amazing candle for me. I usually burn it in the summer, but these hit TJ Maxx and Marshall's last month and I hoarded them. And I felt kind of bad admitting to it on camera that I bought all 5 of them. Yeah, every time I've seen one in a store, I've bought it. And I know that's not fair. And there's part of me that's like, leave it for others. Like, you don't need to buy all of them. Also, you don't need them in your house. You have enough Tiare Sunrise right now. I think you have like 10 backups. You don't, but look at the glass. Look how beautiful he is. And it's my color too. And because I love lavenders, I love purples. And I am so happy now, having burned this in January. I am so happy I got all 5 of them. I do not regret it. I do not. It was the most joyful burn this month. And it was a 3-wick. It didn't take me like 3 weeks to burn through. It took me a week, you know, and it just gave me so much joy. And I thought to myself, well, I usually burn this in summer. If you can burn Tropidelic during January, you can burn Tiare Sunrise. I'll go there. I haven't been particularly happy with the offerings from Bath and Body Works this month, and I thought, go back to one that you know. Go back to one that you like. If they're not taking you to the spot in Fiji that you need for January, you create that Fiji yourself. Select for yourself a tropical candle that will take you there. And for me, it was Tiare Sunrise. It was gorgeous. This was a 3-wick, burned like a dream, looked like a dream, and really had decent performance. I would say in the open concept, admittedly in my Hurricane, I think it got up to about a 7. It was a 7. I never took it to the back bedroom. I left it in the open concept. For it to be a 3-wick at a 7, even in a Hurricane, in the open concept, Friends, that's strong. But again, this is one of Harry Slatkin's more OG candles, and it's somewhat not surprising that it has stood the test of time, not only because of the quality of the fragrance, but also because of the performance. So there you go. Do I imagine that it was probably even stronger back in its day? Probably. But a 7 in the open concept in a 3-wick and a lovely glass vessel, I will take any day, especially when it's $12.99. So your girl is not regretting at all the 5 that I bought. And if I see another one, I'll buy it again because I will go through these. And that was the one thing I did tell myself too when I was looking for a tropical candle. You just bought 5 Tiare Sunrises. You better start burning them. You better start burning them. Do not buy them and not burn them. So I did. Oh, you gave me so much joy. Yes. Yes, you made up for all of your other colleagues from Homeworx. Oh. All right, let's go to Bath & Body Works. We didn't have a whole lot from Bath & Body Works, although I am burning Bath & Body Works right now. So come a couple weeks, we'll have some Bath & Body Works. There were only 2 candles that I burned from Bath & Body Works this January, and one of them was Goldenberry Mistletoe. I bought 2 of these, one for a white elephant party. You know, I thought it was really great for that. And it was, spoiler alert. I also bought one for myself because while this is not the fragrances that I usually gravitate toward, I have always thought that Goldenberry Mistletoe is a sleeper for Bath & Body Works. It's a fairly recent candle. It only came out for the first time like 2.5 years ago. And it's been done dirty because both times it came out in atrocious packaging, you know, like they don't care at all. And I really think they have an excellent candle here. There have been a lot of other candles, and frankly, a lot of tree citrus candles that have come out in the midst of them that have been given a lot more airtime and a lot more buzz and have been very mediocre, if not poor, and are not going to come back. Guess what? Goldenberry Mistletoe is going to come out, and it should come out every single year. I honestly think Bath & Body Works' holiday offerings are not that great. The bar is low enough for this one to come out every year. It just is. Yes, it's a little bit on the pop side. Yes, it's got that telltale Bath & Body Works I'm a shower gel kind of situation. But it does also have a very bright, boisterous, and joyful citrus balsam presence that has at least some amount of authenticity to it. It's a great, mass appeal holiday candle, and I felt like I needed to support it. I made fun of the packaging initially. I'm like, oh my God, how ugly is this? And it kind of grew on me. And I almost think they kind of leaned into the atrocious, 1960s Christmas story ugliness. And it's almost kind of nice. So I liked it. I thought it was good. I'm not going to lie to you. It is a lot of candle. It is a lot of candle. It's a candle that you have to want to burn. There were a few times where I'm like, should I light up Goldenberry Mistletoe or am I in the mood for that? I think originally when I reviewed this, I was like, this reminds me of a little bit like a Mariah Carey, it's Christmas kind of candle. And sometimes you're just not in that Mariah Carey Christmas kind of mood. And you kind of have to be for this candle. Like I said, there is an exuberance about it and a boldness. And no, it's not the most sophisticated candle in the world either. So you just have to kind of be in that mindset. But my gosh, if you don't feel that way at least once or twice during the holiday season, are you really living? Are you really experiencing the holiday? So yeah, I'm a fan, Goldenberry and Mistletoe. And then I burned this one actually, this little baby one. Man, these single wicks were really kind of standouts. Again, sleepers. They were very underrated. They were sitting there by the cash wrap for a very long time, many, many months, and really only moved at semi-annual sale. But they were really classy looking and they were great conceptually, and that they were just kind of single concepts, sometimes even single fragrance notes, and we're given kind of an authenticity and a sophistication that is unusual for Bath & Body Works. And I feel badly that they did not sell frankly, as well as they should have. Almost all of them were standouts. I do think that the Orange Blossom was the biggest standout of them. I don't know why. If it's come out in a 3-wick, I'm not aware of it. That is a candle that 1000% needs to come out as a 3-wick. That Orange Blossom candle is fire. It's fire. And a cut above what they usually do with fruity florals, frankly. So Orange Blossom, I thought this was a standout. I think the amber candle, I'm looking at it off camera. I haven't actually burned the amber candle, but the amber one seems like a standout. Vanilla, I thought smelled gross, but then there were a lot of people who thought vanilla was great. To me, it smelled like burning rubber. Like there was something not quite right about it, but manufacturing blunders have happened in the past, so maybe I just didn't smell one of the good ones. I don't know. I did not buy the vanilla one, vanilla bean or whatever it was called. And then there was, what else was there in that one? There was I think there was at least 1 or 2 others in that collection. Anyway, here's Cypress right here. The notes are supposed to be bergamot grove, fir needles, green moss. It's a very unusual candle. It just really is. It is perfect for Cypress because while it says fir needles, as in a balsam fir, the needles here, and they are front and center, the needles here have a very like almost herbal quality to them, which is much more indicative of a cypress tree, which is still in that coniferous kind of family. But cypress has a very like almost aromatherapy kind of herbal quality to it. And so it's perfect that it's called citrus. I mean, that it's called cypress, whether it has cypress in it or not. And then it has this like bright, fruity kind of component to it, but it's not a runaway like pop fruity, the way Bath & Body Works does it. It's a very restrained fruity, the way that Harry Slatkin would do it, which is just to kind of light up the branches of the tree, you know, and give it a vibrancy, a life, a living green quality that otherwise it might not have, and let it kind of glow green yellow, as it were. And then it says green moss. And yeah, there is kind of like an earthiness underneath, but I would say it's an earthiness that may even have a little bit of amber in it, so that the whole thing is a little bit of a kind of botanical conceptual, as it were. It's really nice. I don't understand. I've said this. I don't love the candles that are on the floor right now at Bath & Body Works. But they've got a lot, again, of candles that seem like they should be botanical, like garden weather, for instance. And they just smell so lackluster, either redundant of like body care fragrances they've done in the past, or just they kind of smell like nothing. I don't understand when they demonstrate with little mini collections like this that they are absolutely capable of fragrances that are natural, stripped down, authentic, sophisticated, thoughtful, and frankly have some amount of strength and throw. I don't know why they're messing around with the other bullshit. Whatever. It was really nice. I do think that it is a little bit of an acquired taste, this candle. And have I smelled botanical candles that I liked more than this one? Yes. Like it didn't like change my life, and now I need to have like 74 of them, you know? But I thought it was good. It's not even my favorite like tree conceptual from Bath & Body Works. I actually liked the fall forest one a little bit better. But this is definitely in the genre, and I just appreciate so much when they give us offerings like this. I think it should be a 3-wick. The single wick performance wasn't great. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was not even as good as Orange Blossom. So even for a single wick, kind of left something to be desired, but I could smell it if it had been burned for quite some time. And I think with a 3-wick would be able to project at the level that we kind of need it to be. I would have liked a little bit less amber in it. I really think just give us the pine needles, the like flash of citrus, the moss. Like we don't need the amber. Once it's burned, it kind of becomes amberfied in a way that I think loses some of its botanical poignancy. but I still really appreciate the candle. And I think for many, and given on the backdrop of, or in front of the backdrop of Bath and Body Works tree candles, definitely one of the more thoughtful and stripped down. So there you go. I had one Target candle, vanilla cashmere, right here, and it was, I like the smell of it. It was $10, but I got it for $5. It was a 3-wick tin. Smelled nice in the store, and then I don't know what it was once it was burned. It was bad. It was kind of this vague cinnamon vanilla that just wasn't good at all, with probably a little bit of shea or sandalwood. And the performance on it was abysmal, not because it was sooty, but because the strength and throw was -2. So that was in the guest bathroom. And man, every time I try to give Target a chance, it just kind of shits all over me. Okay, one lone Kringle candle, coffee shop. Friends, it was not a good candle. It just wasn't. So this is a candle they've had in their collection for a bit. It kind of appears and reappears and that kind of thing. I wanted this candle for coffee week because I really wanted to burn it, but didn't really have an opportunity to buy it at the time. And there was one paraffin one that someone in my vicinity was selling on Facebook Marketplace, but along with like this huge bundle of like Goose Creek paraffins that I did not want because I'm probably allergic to. And I messaged her several times and was like, can you please just sell me like the 2 Kringle candles there? And she just never got back to me. So there you go. So I'm getting coffee shop now because Kringle was running like a medium sale, I don't know, like a couple months ago. And I saw this one and I was like, you know what? I'll get it. I'm always looking for a coffee candle. I want to experience it. This is they reformulated it though, so it's 100% soy rather than paraffin. And I don't know if that affected it. I suspect it did to some extent because often the paraffin does change, not only the performance, but also, frankly, the fragrance and the way that the fragrance comes across. This was a very lackluster candle. It smells great on cold. It smells very similar to the Swan Creek candle that I thought was the best of the bunch of the coffee week. It was, I think, called toasted or French espresso or who knows what else, whatever. Anyway, go back, look at it. That Swan Creek candle was fantastic. And it smells very similar to this, also similar to Candleberry had one similar. Can't remember what the Candleberry one was called. Again, look back, check the notes. Candleberry one did not perform well and it did not burn well. Obviously the Swan Creek one did, it was a winner. Once this was burned, it just kind of morphed into a vague nuttiness and a strength and throw of about 3 or 4. So, and many of the coffee candles did that. They just came across as like a vague buttery nuttiness rather than a true coffee bean or a coffee smell. And this one definitely did that. So I can't recommend it, but I can't speak to how it originally smelled in paraffin. So there's that. I suppose I should probably pause and say something about Kringle. I almost made a video, but then I was like, fuck it. No, I'm just not going to wade into this. I'm not going to contribute to drama. I'm just not. I actually had several of you reach out to me though. So Kringle made an announcement or kind of teased an announcement, which then kind of spread like wildfire amongst the faithful. And that is that they are indeed doing away with their country line across the board. And they are also doing away with mediums and the 3 wicks. The 3 wicks that look like the Bath and Body Works, but they were painted and they look cheaper. I'm not crying over that. So far, no one is very clear about what is going to be replacing it, only that there will be replacements. And I suspect they'll be good. I don't know. They just started doing that, like the big 4-wick, you know, that's like, I don't know, 30, 40 some ounces or whatever else it is, in the Kringle line. If I had to guess, I think they'll probably develop a 3-wick that is comparable in shape. That is not going to be like a Bath and Body Works style, but it's going to have the lip on the top, on the bottom, you know? so that they will have a set. If I had to guess, and this is pure conjecture, they like the modern Kringler look. So, and they've liked that since they've developed it. I think a lot of the brand ambassadors like that as well. I think they'll keep the 2-wick style, and then they'll offer a 3-wick, and then they'll offer a 4-wick. If I had to guess, that's probably the direction they're going to go into, because they definitely need multiple wicks. It's become quite obvious that the soy does not perform as well as paraffin used to, for them and for other companies. And so you have to multiply the wicks. You just do. And so they've multiplied it to 4. And I watched Kent, he ordered a couple of their 4 wicks. I mean, granted, they were loud gourmands. I mean, that jelly donut candle is probably fine in a 2-wick because it's the right profile for a loud candle, you know, and from its inception performed quite well. So, for Tiare, when you have it in a 4-wick, it's gonna perform at least as well, if not better. So I'm kind of not surprised that the 4-wick jelly donut did well. I am a little surprised that a couple of the other ones did well, because I'm more and more of the opinion that your fragrance is either formulated well or it's not. And if it is, then a 3-wick will probably be sufficient, you know? And if it's not, you can give us 17 wicks and it'll probably still underperform. There are exceptions, but in my experience, that's kind of what I'm seeing happen with the companies adding more wicks. I really think you need to think carefully and thoughtfully about your wax formula, about the wicks that you use. Like, to me, it just seems a little bit like a cop-out to just throw another wick on it, you know? But God bless. God bless. So I think that's what they're gonna do. I think they're gonna stay with the kind of the Kringle aesthetic. They're gonna offer it in a range of wicks, and a range of sizes. But they're doing away with like this apothecary traditional candle. And yeah, I feel a certain kind of way. I really do. I feel less connected to the company having done away with that. Far less connected. I'm obviously a Yankee Candle girl. I grew up on Yankee Candle. I burned Yankee Candle. And if you don't know, the CEO of Kringle Candle is the son of the man who founded Yankee Candle, and in fact worked with his son to create this line of candles back in the day, I don't know, 10 years ago, something like that, for Kringle, because they wanted something that captured the vibe, the culture of Yankee Candle. And frankly, I think there are still a lot of people out there who are attracted to this aesthetic and who like the colored wax and who just like it, full stop. I would think there are people who would like it even if they didn't experience the Yankee candles. It is a little old-fashioned looking, and the other day I was looking at this and I'm like, man, this is a lot of glass, this bulb thing. It's just a lot of glass. I would be fine modernizing it and just creating like a flat glass lid. A flat glass lid, and then they would stack better too if you're storing them, you know? So I'm not crying over I'm not gonna die on the hill of this bulbous lid, that is for sure. But I like the silhouette, and I like the little photorealistic label, and I like the colored wax. And yes, it might be a little dated at this point, but I don't think it's so dated that there aren't still consumers that don't want it. I certainly do, and I certainly would. Now, how much of that is nostalgia? I don't know. You know I'm not a country girl. I'm really not. Candleberry was like a bridge too far for me in terms of the aesthetic. I don't decorate my house country. Like, I'm just not a country girl at all. But there are a lot of country people, not even to mention in the like southern hemisphere of our country, right? So I just think it's a little bit of a mistake. And I do think they've kind of cut the cord culturally from Yankee Candle, and I don't know how smart that is. I just emotionally, I feel less connected and less committed to the company, knowing that this is gonna go away. Because I don't feel the same way about the modern the modern Kringle candles as I do about these. Just in terms of the aesthetics and the culture, I'm fine with updating and modernizing, but I think there's a lot of ways that they could have modernized without just like doing away with it or making it 100% soy. And I'm not going to beat a dead horse here. There have been insinuations that this line didn't sell well. And the only insinuations. Nobody has come out with hard facts. So I mean, maybe it's the case. I have no idea. I'm not in the back office at Kringle. I can't tell you what the numbers are. I would be a little surprised, I think, if the numbers were significantly different on Country than Kringle. If Country did not do well over the last year or so, I think it had more to do with the soy formulation than anything else. Because I know, for one, I always bought Country Candle back in the day, and I have slowly stopped buying the Country candles because they've been shitty. They've just been shitty, okay? And they've gone to like basic gourmands primarily in the Country line, and I don't burn gourmands. There used to be a great deal of conceptuals in the Country candle line, and over the last year and a half or so, they've like, I mean, there've been way too many gourmands across the board, but they've like shunted all of the basic gourmands into the Country line, and so I'm not buying it for that reason. And I'm also not buying it because I'm not a fan of 100% soy. And I think that transition like just drove Country Candle into the ground. The people who usually bought Country Candle, I suspect, were not buying it because it had radically changed in terms of not only the culture of the fragrances, but obviously the way that the fragrances were coming across. And I suspect also that even before they made the 100% shift, that they were sabotaging that 100% paraffin formula in the Country Candle so that the performance wouldn't be so dramatically different from their Kringle 100% soy. And I read the messages. I mean, a couple years ago, it was very common to see messages from consumers that would say, I can't smell the Kringle, the modern Kringle line. The fragrances are nice, but I can't smell them. I'm going to stick with Country Candle. The reputation was that the 100% soy was nice and modern if you like that aesthetic, but that it was significantly underperforming, which is understandable given the soy formula. I think Yankee Candle figured out the same thing when they had half their fleet in the store like soy blend and then the other side paraffin. It was just too obvious to the consumer that the paraffin outperforms. And when, for whatever reasons, visionary or otherwise, leaders in the company wanted to invest in the soy, it frankly hampered and handicapped the soy fleet that it underperformed. And so one of the strategies, I think, was to start putting less oils in the paraffin so that they could create some kind of equilibrium in terms of performance. So that one fleet wasn't obviously outperforming the other. I'm almost certain that's what happened for Country Candle, because those Country Candle paraffins were very loud. They had really very little strength and throw problem. Obviously, every fragrance is going to be a little bit different. Some are going to be weaker than others, but across the board, there was nothing wrong with that Country Candle line. And then about a year and a half out to the soy transfer, the strength and throw in Country Candle started to make a significant dive. And it just wasn't the same strength and throw. It wasn't. So I guess what I'm trying to say here is drawing attention to the success of Country Candle over the last year and a half as a reason for why it's now going away is just not fair. It's kind of setting up a straw man, because for many of us, nothing was broken originally. We were very happy with the 100% paraffin in the Country line. I do think Kringle had one of the best paraffin formulas on the market. End of story. The least sooty, etc. It was very well performing. And yes, it was a little bit more sooty than a soy candle is, but as I have tried to say over and over again, there are trade-offs. There are trade-offs, okay? Paraffin may be dirtier, but it also captures fragrance in a really brilliant and deep way and gives better strength and throw. So you just need to weigh. Unfortunately, there's a whole generation of people now who kind of fetishize the cleanness. And I think at the expense of all the other things. And God bless, like it's your house and it's your opinion. And if you want to prioritize clean burn over all other things, like God bless, that is your, like everybody's entitled to their own opinion. There's absolutely no question about that. But I do think, has there been some fear mongering over the paraffin that is not fair? Yes, I think so. And this has not happened just in like the candle community. It's happened in like makeup, cosmetics, like, you know, skincare, etc. And it's starting to actually get a little bit played out. People are starting to roll their eyes more at cosmetic companies and at skincare brands that are allegedly clean or natural. I'm starting to see more backlash now than we have had over the last 10 years. And there are YouTubers who like have become extremely popular, basically being like, the clean and health thing is bullshit, and here's why. Just because it's clean or healthy doesn't mean that it's actually good for your skin, number one. Number two, the fear mongering over all these ingredients that are synthetic is just completely unacceptable for these reasons. So I think there is starting to be a little bit of a readjustment. I have never not conceded that the soy doesn't burn cleaner, but I don't think it's quite the health crisis that I think a lot of people have made it out to be. And I think we're all ignoring as candle and fragrance like devotees that like soy dramatically undermines the fragrance experience. And I just wish that the soy advocates would be a little bit more honest and transparent, that they would admit that to themselves, if nothing else. Just be honest. Just tell the consumers, I prefer a clean burn over all other things. Yes, it's not as strong. Yes, it's not that great of a fragrance. Yes, we're only getting 30% of this fragrance now, or whatever else it is. It's worth it to me because I don't have to repaint my house, and because it's a clean burn. God bless. That's fine. Just be transparent about it, you know? There are trade-offs, and I think the consumers are slowly starting to realize the payoff of some of these trade-offs, but because they've not been educated, they're not putting two and two together, and they don't realize that this is because of soy. So, all right, preamble over, or diatribe over. Yeah, I feel a certain way about country candle going away, but like I wasn't exactly carrying a brief for it the way it's been for the last year and a half or 2 years. God bless. Like, I hope Kringle finds its footing. I really do. They are changing a lot of things from a vision perspective. They are investing in a very specific kind of modern vibe. As Melanie from Mr. Kong's mom said, that means that they're going to lose a lot of consumers, and the hope is that they're going to add different consumers. And so I think you just have to decide what kind of consumer you're going to be. I mean, I'll always be kind of like watching them. And I do think that they like come up with some really great fragrances. And I would hate to see Kringle fall behind even more competitively. I think with the changes that they're making, they're hoping that these are going to make them more competitive. I think time will tell whether or not that is the case. And finally, with the wax thing, like I do think that at some point, and I've said this for a while, I think at some point, either in my generation or my children's generations, they're going to find a wax that does all the things. And I am so excited, and I cannot wait for it. When it is like clean and it captures fragrance and it gives us strength and throw, and it's going to be all the things. I am so not wedded to paraffin on an absolute level. Like, I get its detractions, but I pick that poison right now over soy, and I don't even mind a soy blend. Like, you got to mix some paraffin in there, you know? Totally fine. I'm happy with a lot of soy blends, to be honest. Most of the major candle companies do have soy blends. So we're talking Goose Creek, we're talking Homeworx, we're talking Bath & Body Works, we're talking Nest. Actually, many of your luxury candle companies have paraffin in them. Sometimes they're not all that transparent about them, but yes, they have paraffin in them. There are actually very few companies that are 100% soy and have made it work successfully and sustainably. Not even to mention the environmental situation. And like soy is often vaunted for its environmental impact, but like the amount of water and land that it takes to produce a soy wax is huge, huge. So yes, it is like, they like to say it's renewable, like you can grow more of it, but you can also deplete your soil like from constantly like growing on it. And if all the companies went 100% soy, it would shoot the price to a place where like it would be completely unsustainable for anyone. And you're taking away like food. You're taking away like the crop space that's actually made for like feeding people too, which at a certain level is also important, maybe more important than burning candles. Anyway, okay, I'm gonna let this go. I know it sounds like I have this like animus against soy, and I really don't. I'm just so tired of like the fear mongering and like the one-sided education on this, you know? And I'm not even an expert on it, but I've figured at least these things out. And I feel like the consumers like should just be better educated about the differences between the two and the trade-offs and the payoffs and etc. But I eagerly await the moment when we will not have to choose between either soy or paraffin, but that there will be this amazing new thing that will make both of them seem like so passé, so old-fashioned. Remember when we burned paraffin and soy, right? Okay. Guys, that went on longer than I expected. I did burn some Kringle daylights here. These are just ones I've been kind of burning off. Eucalyptus and cotton, which was a new fragrance last year. And this was in the country line. I liked this better than I thought I was going to. When I initially got it, I'm like, it's a laundry day scent. I don't really do laundry day scents, but this is actually a really nice one. There's a real, like, true freshness about this, like not an artificial soapy freshness, but an actual freshness. A little bit of ozone, just the perfect amount of floral, the perfect amount of herbal. I mean, it's really just a very nice and lovely laundry day scent. Like I said, I don't really do laundry day, but I would even consider repurchasing that one. Santal, which I think is kind of like a, whatever, it's a sunscreen kind of fragrance. It's the neroli, it's the brassiness, it's the mineral, right? Again, I don't do sunscreen fragrances. I think that's, and I know there's like, you may be one of them. You love sunscreen. People love the sunscreen fragrances and they love the laundry day fragrances. So I know this is a very minority and unpopular opinion. I don't love sunscreen. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. And it's not like the most synthetic sunscreen fragrance that I've ever smelled. You know, it's like fairly decent. It's just not what I do. Strength and Throw seem pretty weak on it. And then this was another country candle, lemon tea and roses. And actually I did kind of like lemon tea and roses. It's perfumey, but it's got like a real like citrusy, acidic like moment on top with something that really does smell herbal and tea-like, and I kind of like it. It's floral, again, it's one of those amazing conceptuals that frankly, Kringle has always been very, very strong at. And I would hate for them to do less conceptuals. Here's another thing though about the soy, is that basic gourmands are much less sophisticated fragrances. They just are, full stop. It's an objective fact. And they tend to be very mid-range. So, and soy does fine with mid-range and even some high notes. Where soy does particularly bad is in complex conceptuals and basy fragrances. And unfortunately, those were all the things that Kringle did well. I mean, for years, the complex conceptuals from Kringle were fantastic. I mean, now if they're just gonna do basic gourmands like Jelly Donut, yeah, they may be able to make soy work for them, but do they really want to go head to head with Goose Creek and Homeworx and Bath & Body Works with the basic gourmands? I don't know. To me, that doesn't seem like the right direction for the company. But if you've got an all soy formula, you're going to struggle with the complex conceptuals. This is a complex conceptual, but because of the high citrus and because of the tea notes in here and the floral notes in the mid-range, it works because it's a much higher range conceptual. If it was poured in paraffin, we might be able to get some nice base notes too. But anyway, oh gosh. I liked that one so much actually that I bought it in a medium candle, and I'm gonna burn it this spring. So I'm really excited. It is 100% soy, but I'm excited about lemon tea and roses. So spoiler alert, you should see that in the next like February or March. Oh no, my tongue. Okay, I don't think anything fell out. Very quickly. Oh, I burned something from Stonewall Home too. This is another laundry day scent, fresh linen from Stonewall Home. It's very good, and it's a very good strength and throw. This is a more traditional laundry day scent though. It's a little less fresh than and stripped down as eucalyptus and cotton is from Kringle. But again, it's a very nice laundry day scent. Like it's a little bit more sophisticated than like laundry day from Bath and Body Works. So I do recommend that again if you like laundry day scents. And then I have a ton of these right here. Wax melts. But weirdly, I only have one of these. Oh, here's another one. Give me a second. It fell down. Oh, no. Yeah, this one fell down. And then London tea. Oh, my London tea isn't here. I can't show it to you. So many of these are Yankee candles. So I did, oh, there was a Kringle one too. Oh, that Kringle one was bad. What was it? Oh, the white iris one, the new one. Oh, man. But I haven't finished it yet, so we won't talk about that. This one I burned. So these are the blue ones right here. This is Yankee Candle North Pole Hideway right here. I forgot about North Pole Hideway when I was like panning the Yankee Candle holiday collection for this year. I was panning it. I forgot North Pole Hideway. And North Pole Hideway is not bad. It's not bad. And it works in a holiday collection, possibly not the Destinations collection, because the holiday destinations collection this year were all like legitimate destinations, like Sydney, Australia and Munich, Germany. And then it was like North Pole, which is like kind of a fantasy and imaginary destination. North Pole Hideway is a candle that they could put in any kind of holiday collection. So I just feel like it was kind of a missed opportunity and a destination that they could have rounded it out with another legitimate destination. You know what I mean? That said, it's not a bad fragrance. This is essentially if you wanted a vanilla candy cane that was also a masculine cologne. I don't know what the market is on that. I really don't. It's not badly executed. It's really not. It's a really kind of nice and sweet candy cane vanilla with like a masculine musk situation on the bottom, a lot of cream, a lot of sandalwood, etc. Like I said, not bad at all. But as with First Frost here from Homeworx, which was kind of like the cologne-y tree thing, I'm just not feeling it. Like I said, I'm kind of a masculine person, but these are just not it. They're not it for me. It performed okay. It performed okay in terms of wax melts, strength and throw wise. It was okay. And probably a little louder than some of their other ones, which I'm gonna talk about here. But yeah, that's North Pole Hideway. I wouldn't purchase it again, but I wouldn't say it was atrocious either. So there you go. This one is brand new for this year, Pistachio Latte. And when I bought this originally in Columbus at a Yankee Candle, all they had was like a few limited offerings from their new collection. So the candle wasn't even out, but I was able to get these wax melts, Pistachio Latte, and it's this green right here. Guys, I like it. I think it's a winner. This is the Pistachio Latte. Yeah. It's really nice. It's in the genre of like the toasted vanilla pistachio or toasted pistachio vanilla from Bath and Body Works. It has a very obvious toasted pistachio note in it, like a nice gourmandy one. And then it does have kind of like a vague body care amber sandalwood kind of situation as well, which unfortunately doesn't make it a through gourmand. I'm not a huge gourmand person, so I'm not necessarily like wrecked about that. But at the same time, I wouldn't mind it. I love pistachio so much. I really wouldn't mind it being a straight up gourmand. The Bath and Body Works one isn't necessarily a straight up gourmand either, but I do think this one is a little bit more perfumey than the Bath and Body Works one. That said, the toasted pistachio note is maybe even louder here than it is in the Bath and Body Works one. So it kind of balances out. It's very good. I thought it performed decently, and it smelled great. It smelled great. I don't know which one I like better, frankly, between this one and the Bath and Body Works one. They're both very good. And like I said, kind of in the same category. If you like the one, I think you should definitely try it out. It's Pistachio Latte, and it is now out in candle form and in 3-wick form. The 3-wick actually looks decent from an aesthetic standpoint. I am going to be getting that 3-wick so that I can review it for you, because I had just burned the toasted pistachio from Bath and Body Works, and I am burning right now the new pistachio milk candle from Bath and Body Works. And then I'll have this one, and then we can do like a mini pistachio week, shall we? Yes. And then I've got some mystery wax here. I know one of these is Kringle, the white iris one. And then I can't remember what these are. So whatever. Maybe I'm halfway through a package, and then I'll see the package next month, and it'll be fine. I forgot about this. Last but not least, friends, I tried to burn this candle this month, and I'm calling it quits right now. The wicks have even migrated a little bit, which is bad. So I actually bought 2 of these at my local grocery store. This is a candle, a smaller candle company in upstate New York called Northern Lights. Looks like this. And I came acquainted of this from Melanie, from Mr. Kong's mom, actually, because when the amazing Sanctuary candle came out from Kringle a couple of years ago, she said that it reminded her of a candle that she got as a wedding gift from this company, Northern Lights. And she loved it. She loved Sanctuary, which is a little bit unusual because I think it's a little out of her wheelhouse. But I was really excited, and I went and found this company, Northern Lights, because I thought, oh my gosh, like what other, I'm always looking for new candle companies. I've bought a few of their candles, like little mini ones, just to kind of smell for fragrance. And a lot of the fragrances are actually nice. If you're familiar with the retailer Meyer in the Midwest, Meyer carries an enormous amount of Northern Lights candles. And I have been seeing more Northern Lights candles at Marshall's, at TJ Maxx, and at other retailers. So they were a smallish company, and I think they're trying to make some forays. Many of the candles that they're marketing look exactly like Bath and Body Works or Goose Creek. They actually look most like Goose Creek. They just say Northern Lights on them. So you may have seen them and thought they were something else, and they're in fact Northern Lights. Their old traditional candles, though, they called them Esque. And I don't know, ESQUE. And they are these amazing, like hand painted on the inside kind of vessels. So I bought 2 of these because this fragrance, which is called Good Fortune, I love it. It's a very like golden cashmere kind of fragrance from Kringle. Like it's a very bright, soft, sweet, fresh, but also cozy kind of amber sandalwood. And I loved it. And I thought it was perfect, not only for January and February, but especially for February because of like the Chinese New Year and how Good Fortune sounds like a very Chinese New Year kind of thing, you know? So I was so excited when I saw this at my local grocery store for like $25. And I was like, are you kidding me? It's a 3-wick. Like I'm taking this home, and I bought 2 of them because I already knew from having ordered from the company that I loved this fragrance. And to get it in a 3-wick version like this. So anyway, close parentheses, I started burning one like a few weeks ago, and it's a disaster. So as you can see, this is the color of the wax right here. And this is the color of the wax having burned it, because whatever they've used to paint this vessel has just been melting into the wax. And it doesn't seem right to me. It just doesn't. Not only is it not lovely anymore, as it was in the beginning, but I'm confused. What is in this paint that is now in my candle being burned, and it burns very hot and it burns very sooty? And you know I have a tolerance for soot and paraffin. I doubt it's a full paraffin. I think it's a blend of some kind, and I don't really know what. But here's the thing. If you're gonna have soot in a candle, like, it better have good strength and throw. Per the conversation earlier in the video, there are pros and cons to paraffin. What you don't want is the worst of both worlds, where it's like super sooty and you can't smell it. Like, what is the point, right? That's absurd. I have no tolerance for paraffin candles that burn dirty and also don't have strength and throw, because then there's just absolutely no point, right? This one burns sooty, and then the paint started melting into the candle, turning it like brown. And like I said, I have a pretty good like tolerance and threshold for burning some things that are a little bit sooty in my house. And even I'm like, this does not seem safe. What on earth is this that is now in my candle that I'm burning? So I'm gonna throw this out. And frankly, I think I'm gonna throw this other one out too, because I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna burn this. Like, it's not okay. I don't know what this paint is made of, but unless it's like pure wax, which I don't think it is, then I don't know. I just really don't know. I just checked their website, and I noticed that they have their esque candles, they've completely redone. So now they have vessels that are hand painted, and then refills of candles that you stick in them that are already in like a glass vessel. So they just slip the glass vessel inside of it so that you're not actually burning the paint on the outside, if that makes sense. And I wonder if they did that because of this situation. So I do not recommend these. I don't know that I recommend Northern Lights either, because I'm not impressed with the way that they're performing at all. So there's that. I even bought this one here. This was off Amazon, but as you can see, there's Esk. And it's another one of their vessels, one of their older ones. This is a white one. See, look. See that? Yeah. But it's gonna do the same thing. I'm almost positive. Yeah, I don't recommend it. And frankly, I mean, I suppose I should hold the jury back out on Northern Lights as a company, because obviously I'm sure they're still evolving, but I'm not impressed so far. I'm just not. So there you go. Sorry that took so long. That was January. Honestly, the only one I was super happy with is like Tiare Sunrise and maybe Cypress from Bath & Body Works. Thank God for this candle. So sweet. Thanks for joining me, regardless. I still have 2 mediocre candles from Homeworx to review, but then I've got some pistachio ones and I've got a couple Bath & Body Works. So onward and upward. Maybe I'll just send those other tree conceptuals from Homeworx to my storage for next year when I have more bandwidth for it. I just don't know that I can do any more of those. Ugh. But for my money, Treetops Glisten was the best one. So I do recommend Treetops Glisten. There you go. Thank you, my friends. Thanks for January. February, here we come. I'll catch you in the next one.